Hello, everybody. My name is Mel Lopez, and a little bit myself. I'm currently a construction management major. Um, in my junior/senior year of college, I was able to get a semester ahead, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll be graduating fall 24. Um, so today I'll be talking about my position presentation. So the topic that I was able to choose was companies that are headquartered in California should be required to use union labor in right to work states, right? Even a purpose, support actually, was for this proposition that I am in favor of the proposal that companies based in California should be mandated to use uh, a union labor and right to work states. This stance is underpinned by the belief that it promotes a more level playing field for workers, ensuring consistent labor standards as well as irrespective of the state's regulatory environment. The advocacy itself for this requirement aligns with the principles of fair treatment for the workers, right? So fostering collective bargaining power and safeguarding the well-being of employees across different regions and locations is very important. So this proposal itself, I'm gonna go back to the slide real quick. So this proposal itself implies extending the use of organized labor practices common in California, right? So where unions have a stronger presence to states that allow employees the choice of whether to join or support a union, right? So the aim of such requirement is to standardize labor practices across different states, ensuring that workers in right to work states receive the benefits and protections associated with union memberships, right? So this proposition reflects a perspective that prioritizes consistent workers rights and fair labor practices in general across different boundaries, right? The issue itself of whether companies headquartered in California should be obligated to use union labor rights in union labor and right to work states constitutes a very complex and debated topic, right? So with this, it mixes the elements of labor rights and economic policies and regional disparities with the discussion around the dynamics of labor practices within the context of states that have adopted the right to work legislation, itself emphasizing the potential impact on workers' rights and uh, a broader landscape in general, right? So more ideas to come. Um, so yeah. So some background and examples with this would be what is the labor union states, right? So a labor union consists of also simply known as a union or labor organization. It's a group of employees in a certain trade industry or corporation, in this case, the architectural, engineering, and or construction industry, to improve their salary, their benefits, their working conditions. Actually, California is one of the, I'll say, biggest states that are focused in the labor union and protecting their workers, right? So when we look at the opposite, which is the right to work states, a right to work law gives workers the freedom to choose whether or not to join a labor union in the workplace, right? So this law also makes it optional for employees in unionized workplaces to pay for union dues and other fees required for a union representation, whether they're in a union or not, right? So yeah, it's basically the freedom to choose whether or not to join a union in the workplace. That's what it is. Some examples include let's say, for example, a tech company in the Valley expanding to Texas, would have to use a union labor to match California's labor standards, right? Another one would be like a retail store or retail chain, based off LA, let's say, for example. It wants to open stores in Florida, they must hire under union contracts to maintain a consistent worker benefits, right? So they can offer, let's say, for example, healthcare. They could offer here in California, but it doesn't make sense if they offer in California, but not in I don't know, Texas or Florida, right? So it has to be consistent. Another example could be a manufacturing company from, I don't know, San Jose or something, establishing a facility in Nevada, for example. They have to implement a union labor practices to comply with that requirement, right? So with that comes in. Um, Now, when we look at the influence over behavior on the social, political, cultural, and economic factors, they and they're they're around the border, right? So for the social influence, social dynamics play a very crucial role in shaping attitudes towards labor unions, right? And workers' rights as well. Advocates for the requirement argue that it aligns with the prevailing pro-union sentiment in California, while also emphasizing the social responsibility of companies to uphold labor standards, regardless of the states they operate in, right? So let's move on to the political influence. Political affiliations and ideologies can significantly impact the regulatory landscape, right? Um, California is often characterized by a more progressive stance on labor issues, but it may be more inclined to support legislation mandating the use of union labor in right to work states, right? Reflecting a political commitment to workers' rights. Another one would be the cultural influence. The organizational culture of companies headquartered in California, known for its like innovation and such, may also play a role, right? Companies valuing social responsibility and fair labor practices might view using union labor in right to work states as an extension of the corporate culture, right? So another one that we have is the economic influence. Economic considerations such as labor cost and market competition are very important factors, right? Supporters usually argue that the economic benefits of adopting union labor standards, including higher job satisfaction, productivity, can really outweigh potential short-term costs, right? While contributing to the long-term sustainability of the business, right? We want business to stay here longer to expand. Um, the overall summary, right? So, um, various sources discussing the requirement for California are based companies to use union labor and right to work states. They're often highlighting the disparities of labor protections between these regions, right? So proponents stress the importance of creating a uniform standard for workers, right? They're emphasizing the positive impact of union and wages, benefits, and workplace conditions, right? So um, there's people may be concerned about potential economic repercussions, arguing that such a requirement could hinder the competitiveness of California-based companies operating in right-to-work states, right? So they might also emphasize the principles of the individual choice and free market dynamics. They